Everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Travel Prep, on the road and in the air, Traveler's Guide. I'm your host, Colin Frost, and today we're diving deep into the world of small coolers, those compact, portable cooling solutions that have become absolutely essential for day trips, tailgating, beach outings, and so much more. And when I say small coolers, I'm talking about roughly anything from 8 quarts up to about 25 quarts. These aren't your massive camping coolers that require 2 people to lift when loaded. These are the grab-and-go options that one person can easily handle while still keeping your drinks ice cold and your food fresh. The small cooler market has absolutely exploded in recent years. We've gone from basic plastic lunchboxes to very sophisticated military-grade latches and features that would make your grandfather's ice chest get jealous. And let me tell you, after spending weeks researching and testing various models, I've got some strong opinions about what works and what doesn't. Today I'm going to walk you through the small cooler landscape, but I'm going to start off right off the bat with what has really impressed me. And the brand that's impressed me the most is Pelican. Their 8 quart, 14 quart, and 20 quart models represent what I think is the pinnacle of the small cooler engineering right now. Then we'll explore how they stack up against other major players, from budget champions like Coleman, who has killer history, and Igloo, of course, to premium options like Yeti and emerging brands like RTIC. So grab a cold drink, hopefully from a quality cooler, and let's get started with why these coolers are changing the game. Now, first I'm gonna start off with Pelican. Now, this is what I like to call engineering excellence, but in small packages, right? So let me start with one bold statement. After testing many of these coolers, I believe Pelican is making the best small coolers on the market right now. Not the most expensive, not the most hyped, but overall the best package of features, performance, and genuine innovation. Now, Pelican isn't new to the protection game. I'm sure you've heard of the name before, but if you haven't, you need to know they've been making indestructible cases for photographers, military, scientific instruments since 1976, I believe it is. It's in the 70s for sure. And when they decided to enter the cooler market, they brought in that same engineering obsession with them. And it shows in every detail of these things. First, I'm gonna walk you through the 8 quart personal cooler. This one's really small. Some people call it a lunchbox cooler. For me, I go a little bit bigger on the 14 quart just to have that extra space. But the 8 quart is great for lunch. Now, the reason why that is because it perfectly illustrates what makes Pelican different from the other cooler company out there. It isn't just a small lunchbox, it's really thought through, and it's a new approach to like a personal cooling item. So first, let's talk construction. Pelican uses what they call a dual compound insulation. Essentially, they've built a cooler case around an insulated core. The result is a cooler that looks and feels more like a piece of technical equipment than a lunchbox, which is cool. You can't put a price on the cool factor. The press and pull latch is borrowed directly from the protective coating case technology, and these are the same kinds of latch technology that secures million-dollar camera equipment out in war zones or protecting, something crazy like your sandwich, for example. Very similar in technology to what you'd find on the regular Pelican cases. They're secure, they're easy to use with one hand, and they're near indestructible. But here's where it gets really interesting. The 8 quart isn't just one big hollow box like most small coolers. It features 3 separate storage zones, and that's where I really like this thing. That's where Pelican's engineering background really shines. There's a dry box built into the top lid for items that you want to keep completely separate from ice and moisture. I'm talking about like phone, keys, wallet, that kind of stuff. Maybe crackers or chips if they're kind of sit flat. Things that absolutely can't get wet. This compartment also has a built-in easel slot for your phone or tablet, so you can prop it up hands-free when you're having your lunch. I really like that. And then there's a removable inner tray inside for non-perishables that need to stay cool but dry. Now that's good for sandwiches, fruit, chocolate bars, anything that benefits from staying cold but would be ruined in sitting in that sort of icy wet zone down at the bottom in the main compartment. And that main compartment is where you put drinks or any items that can handle getting wet. Bottles, cans, etc. That's perfect for max cooling. Dimensions are really well thought out on this item. It's 13.4 inches by 9.45 inches by 10.5 inches externally, which is a great size for throwing on the passenger seat of your pickup truck. And it holds just enough drink cans to get you through your lunch and snacks, food, whatever you need. I think it's a great option if you're more compact and you have limited room to work with. A step up from there is where we get to the 14 quart personal cooler. And that's a sweet spot if you want just a little extra space and you're not as space concerned. Like in the vehicle, let's say you don't drive a tiny car, but you drive a larger truck, you got a little more space. I think the 14 quart's really great. That has a dual latch system instead of the single latch on the 8 quart and scales up really nicely. Actually came out before the 18 quart did. So if you are an individual or a family that just needs one small cooler, maybe for the road trip, maybe you have one kid, or maybe it's, you know, just you and your co-passenger, this would be the one I'd recommend as far as a small cooler goes. It has the same 3-compartment design here, but it's even more thoughtful for size on proportions. Dry box is large enough for a small tablet, larger snacks, even some small tools usually for work if you need to bring those with you. The removable tray can handle full-size sandwiches, maybe some food containers that you're defrosting for your meal. And the main compartment can hold even more beverages, which I think is great. So what really impresses me about the 14 quart is how well thought out the ergonomics are. It's not super heavy when it's empty. It's substantial inside, but not really burdensome. And the handle locks into an upright position when you're carrying it and folds down flat when you're not. That means you're not sacrificing space for things, for, you know, something you're not going to always use. But the handle is absolutely amazing on this thing. And here's a detail where you really see Pelican's engineering come in. They designed a concave cutout on the back of the cooler that creates a smooth surface against your leg while walking. This is the thing that, you know, other brands that I tested didn't think of, is the ergonomics of how does this fit into your daily life. If you're holding it up on the handle, it literally will sit nicely against your leg and not rubbing against you or doing that bounce thing. You know, you're trying to walk down the beach to the water and the cooler's bouncing off of you. Very thoughtful detail. Construction uses commercial grade 1.5 inch thick polyurethane walls throughout, freezer grade gasket seal that creates a 360-degree seal when closed. And the press and pull latches are, again, the same killer designs that you'd see on many Pelican products. They have a really incredible engineering team there, and you see it in how their products are used. Interior dimensions on this one, like I mentioned, a little bit larger, 12.75 by 7.25 by 8.75, which translates to like a really versatile design. Okay, up from that, we have the 20 quart Elite cooler. Now this is where we get into even more serious performance. The other two were great day coolers, I think wonderful for lunch, very small picnic, or just like a road trip with +1 or +2 for a couple snacks. The 20 quart is where it gets serious. So this represents Pelican's move into the serious premium cooler space. And when they put Elite on a product, it means it comes with a lifetime warranty and it's made in the USA. I think both of these are really cool to have. You look at competition on the high-end brands like Yeti, it's not Pelican just slapping their name on something. They've truly started fresh, and they created a roto-molded cooler that represents their unique approach to what a premium small cooler should be. And that's the construction there. That's what really sets this thing apart. Because it's roto-molded, and that means that, you know, the entire body is formed from a single piece of plastic that's heated and molded around a foam core. And what's great about that is and what makes it premium is you get a seamless, incredibly robust, and you also get really great thermal performance. Pelican, of course, adds their signature touches there that you're not going to find anywhere else. The latches, for instance, are these the great press and pull latches that make this very satisfying click and snap into place so that you know that they're closed. I have a few Yeti products myself that have a latch that wants to be similar, and it always leaves me wondering if it's fully latched or not. I never have that problem with the Pelican. I slap these things shut, and you can give them a tug if you want to, but you hear it click into place, which is really not only satisfying, but reassuring. The capacity itself, I think, is very generous on the 20 quart. It gives you more space for ice. And for me, on a premium cooler, any cooler really, it's all about that relationship of how much space do you want to have taken up and how long do you want it to stay cool. So, you know, you work through that ratio of more ice and less beverages, or more beverages and less ice or food. This one for me is, and for my family, has been an ideal beach cooler if we're going down to the beach for the day, or if we have a longer road trip. Because the thing has killer ice retention. Everything stays ice cold. I'm in Southern California where the days are really hot in the summertime, you know, 100+ heat. And this cooler keeps ice in there So much so that I will add some water to make sure that I get the coolness around the base of the drink, so that when you crack that Coke at the beach, it's as if it was in almost frozen water. I love this thing. The attention to details everywhere. Hardware in this is stainless steel, and they're easy to wash out. In fact, the top doesn't flip all the way over. It stops at like 120 degrees or something like that. So after I wash this out, a long day and the kids got sand in it on the inside, I leave it upside down. It drains everything out and dries, which works really well for like the reality of having these things when you test them out. It has rubber soled feet, which is great. When I put it up in the back of the truck and I tie it down, it's actually firm. And this one is another one that has a big carry handle, and of course the cutout for your leg makes it a lot more comfortable to walk with. When you fill that thing with drinks and ice, it gets heavy. So not having it bounce off your leg but actually have that hole there is fantastic. So that's the 20 quart. I think between the three, for me, it would be hard to choose between a 14 and 20. I would go with the 20. It really feels like something that, because I don't take lunch with me too often. When I do need a cooler, I want something that's gonna be for a longer road trip or a day out with the family. And that's with 2 kids. So the 20 quart for me is the option. I think if it was just me or I was taking lunch somewhere, I would try to get both the 14 and the 20. Those are just my recommendations. So now let's talk about who the budget champions are. And that's where I put this category for Coleman and Igloo. Both of these brands are iconic in the cooler space. Igloo's fantastic. They had the Playmates for years that were really cool through the 80s, and even the vintage versions of those are really fun to have. It reminds me of being a kid. I have a couple in the garage. I think they're really cool. And Coleman, they have a great lineup now. But they had wonderful steel belted coolers that ran through the 50s, 60s, and 70s that are gorgeous. You can still get the vintage ones today in decent shape, and you can still get products for refurbishing them if you're finding rust on the latches. But let's talk about what they have today. Like we've talked about where the benchmark is, in my opinion. Let's talk about the other end of the spectrum on the budget-friendly options that most people think of when they hear cooler. So Coleman and Igloo are the brands that have been in American garages for decades, my own included. And they're still relevant in the small cooler space, especially if you're looking for something that's budget friendly and you don't need like ultra extreme cooling performance. Coleman has been making coolers since the 1950s, and their approach to small coolers has been pretty straightforward. Decent performance, rock bottom prices, and their classic series and their extreme lines, and that's extreme right? Offer small coolers everywhere from the 16 to 28 quart range, which is not quite, it's kind of near Lunchbox size, but a little bit on the larger size. But the prices are great. I mean, these range from 30 to 60 bucks. The construction is a basic injection molded plastic with foam insulation, but it's better than the cheap no-name brand stuff. Here's what I like about Coleman. They're everywhere. They're cheap. They work well enough for casual use, and if you need a cooler for an occasional picnic or kids' little league game, keeping drinks cold for a day at the lake or something like that, Coleman delivers really good basic performance. They include useful features like cup holders, carry handles. The larger ones have drain plugs, which you'll want to make sure you get everything out of the drain plug before you seal it up so you don't get mold. And here's what I don't love compared to more premium brands like Pelican and Yeti. The ice retention is mediocre. I mean, it's gonna melt pretty fast. 8 to 12 hours on a hot day, you'd be very lucky to get. And on some of the higher brands, we're talking literally multi-day performance where you could reach in and still find ice in your cooler. All of this being weather dependent and prep dependent, but on the Colemans and the Igloos, it's really not there. It's more of a casual, less serious if you're not gonna be out for longer periods of time, or you're okay with your things getting a little bit lukewarm on a hotter day. So Igloo is the other old school heavyweight. They've actually been more innovative than Coleman in recent years, in my opinion. They have done some really cool stuff. They did like a BMX series that I think deserves special mention. BMX 25 was a 25 quart cooler that truly punches above its weight class. That one runs, I think, in the 50-70 range, features more of a robust construction than typical budget coolers, and a better insulation system with a more secure lid system, which is one of those things that you don't really know the value of until it bites you. The secure lid is huge. It falls over in the back of the car on a road trip. You don't want that to spill into your carpet and you end up getting all kinds of terrible issues to deal with. But when you compare even the best budget coolers to something like Yeti, Pelican, RTIC, the differences do get pretty stark. You're giving up the organization of storage, premium construction, the superior ice retention, and the thoughtful features that do make the daily use of the more premium ones more pleasant. So let's talk about some of the premium disruptors. And in that category, I'm going to say that's like RTIC and even Hydro Flask, which was fairly new to the game. They've shaken up the world by offering the premium performance at a lower price than the high-end options. So RTIC, which is RTIC, which stands for Ready to Ice Challenge, is a Texas-based company that built its reputation on delivering what they call Yeti level performance at lower prices. Of course, not made in the States. If that's important to you or not, truly up to you. But the RTIC Ultralight 22 is a 22 quart roto-molded, which I think is the way to go, cooler that offers some pretty impressive ice retention and solid construction for about half the price of comparable premium options. It's really hard to argue with that. What makes RTIC interesting in their focus on core performance without some of the premium features is you get excellent insulation, rubber gasket seals, heavy-duty latches, and you might not get the organized storage or thoughtful details that distinguish from another brand like Pelican or Yeti. But you know, they have a full range of options. In fact, RTIC even has some compelling backpack coolers, which the premium brands also have. Their backpack cooler itself is fully waterproof with 48-hour claimed ice retention. I haven't tested it myself, but it looks like a pretty nice product. And if that's true, it's pretty good value for the active users. Hydro Flask entered the cooler game, bringing in their installation expertise that came from making water bottles and canteens. Their Day Escape series offers a soft-sided backpack cooler with impressive performance and comfortable features. It's a waterproof construction and ergonomic design that shows some real thought about their active users, people that are out hiking and things like that, who they design it for. Now, both RTIC and Hydro Flask represent good middle ground options. Both have better performance than the budget coolers without the premium features that you'd find in brands like Pelican and Yeti. But let's talk about that big abominable snowman, the luxury leader in the space, Yeti. You can't talk about premium small coolers without addressing Yeti. I love a lot of their products, and I think that they fundamentally changed the expectation and the market for coolers. The Roadie series really defines the luxury small cooler market. The Roadie 24 runs about $250, which is pretty expensive for most people's camping budget, but it delivers really impressive performance. And some folks don't mind that price. Again, entirely up to you on what your needs are. It's roto molded, which is a massive plus. Rubber gasket seals, just like the Pelican, and heavy duty latches all speak to the serious engineering that Yeti puts into their smallest cooler. Now, Yeti consistently delivers on ice retention promises that they've put up in their ads. In testing, their coolers often outlast competition in pure thermal performance, and the build quality is genuinely impressive. The attention to detail really justifies, in my mind, the premium pricing for the users who want that maximum performance and honestly the looks. However, for me personally, when I compare Yeti to Pelican, I find myself preferring Pelican's approach. It just feels a little deeper engineered with some more focus on the ergonomics that are important to me. But that's just me. Everyone has their preferences. I have products from both brands, and I think they both make fantastic products. So let's talk about specialized options for emerging brands. Now, some of these in the small cooler market you might not have heard of before. I didn't test each of these, but I did some research on them and want to throw out every brand that we can find here. Ice Mule makes a backpack coolers that were designed kind of like dry bags. Pretty interesting if you go look them up. They are claimed to be completely watertight, even to be completely submerged. I think great for the lake. Ice Mule Pro represents extreme and of portable cooling for like serious outdoor activities is their claim. Great looking product. The Cooler 5 takes a really different approach. It's a cylindrical steel construction. Looks more like modern art than a cooler. I think very interesting, something I'd like to check out. I'm hoping a store near me has them in stock because I'd like to hold that in my hands before making a purchase like that. Orca is another brand who hit the scene many years ago, makes American manufactured coolers that compete directly with Pelican and Yeti, but often at lower prices and with lifetime warranties. Double check that for the full line, see if they all offer the lifetime warranty. That can vary brand to brand. But when thinking about coolers, a lifetime warranty is a massive plus. And for electric cooling, of course, you could look up Dometic. They do a CFX series that offers an ice-free operation and can actually freeze items. But it does require a power source and costs a lot more. But if you're looking for something that can actually work as a mini fridge, Dometic is the king in the game. So keep an eye on those and emerging brands like Canyon Outfitter, delivering great performance at more accessible price points. Now, how do you make the right choice? Here are my recommendations for you after all the analysis of each of these brands. What should you actually buy? Let me break down my recommendations based on different use cases, okay? So you're gonna wanna look at these use cases, but also cross it with what's important to you. Now, if you're looking for something for basic occasional use, I would take a look at the BMX 25 or the Coleman Extreme. These are in the 40 to 70 range. They have perfectly adequate performance for casual outings, like I said, baseball games just for the day. For regular use on a budget, the RTIC Ultralight 22 has premium performance and it's about half the price of the top tier options. Now, if you're a super active out on the deep hikes, you're going down to the Grand Canyon, you need something to keep cool, but you can also wear, Hydro Flask Day Escape Backpack should excel. By all accounts, has killer performance, and that's really if you need to carry it while hiking, backpacking, biking, or even in, any kind of water sports. So for maximum ice retention, it really comes down to Yeti or Pelican. Between those two, you'll pay for the price, but you'll get the quality back. And really that comes down to you. I'm split between the two on having them. I think they're both fantastic, but for me, if you're not just looking at best ice retention, you're looking at overall package, that's where I keep coming back to Pelican. 14 quart personal is a great combination of features, performance, and thoughtful design in the small cooler category. And the organized storage is really an awesome feature. If you need something that's a little bit larger, I would take a look at the Pelican 20 quart Elite. Comes with a lifetime warranty. Absolutely fantastic product. If you hold it in your hands, it's the kind of quality that you feel. So in closing, here's my thoughts on the matter of small coolers. This market has evolved dramatically over the last 5 years, with genuine innovation happening at every price point. Whether you're spending $40 or $400, you can get performance that would have been unimaginable just a few years ago. Now, here's my biggest piece of advice. Think honestly about how you'll actually use your cooler. For occasional use, don't overspend. But if you're someone who always is heading out for adventures, packing lunches regularly, or you just really like well-designed gear that's gonna last you a lifetime, invest in a quality small cooler and it'll pay its dividends to you for years. Now, I wanna say thank you for listening to today's deep dive on small coolers. It's really been a pleasure to research these and see what these brands have come up with. And until next time, I'll let you keep your drinks cold and your adventures cool. This has been Colin Frost with Travel Prep on the road and in the air, Traveler's Guide. We'll catch you on the next episode. Thanks for listening.